Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And we are back with Sister Wives, Season 19, Episode 10, A Man After My Own Heart. And I have to say, I enjoyed this episode. I really did. I think there was very little Kody on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of like Meri finally sort of speaking the truth, which has been nice. And yeah, and I mean, Christine's off the rails here, but she's in a glow, but whatever. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, God bless her. She's happy. And that's the thing, when that Kody brings this show down.
He does.
Because in the beginning of this season, it was just episode after episode of him, railing on people on the couch and it's like, okay, I'm so over that. I really, this is very refreshing to watch happy people for the most part.
People that are happy in their lives.
Gosh.
And not just utterly miserable.
Kody needs to get some of that.
Well, okay, but I do want to say one thing, which is I feel very conflicted about Meri because I do appreciate that Meri is, speaking the truth. She's saying some things she should say. But at the same time, Meri's just someone that I have such a hard time with because she thinks she's super edgy. She thinks she's super edgy and super funny. Mm-hmm. Because when they were talking about painting the carpet, that's not funny. We don't need a 5-minute bit on it.
No.
She does bits and it's a lot and it's not funny.
Meri seemed to me through that whole painting part that she was drunk. I mean, she was like, she seemed high. Like she just thought everything she said, she thought was hilarious. She's laughing at her own jokes and she was just being so goofy. And and if you see her on social media, she's making all of these goofy videos and it's like, okay. But then at the same time, she wants to be taken seriously with this worthy up stuff, which is failing miserably. And she needs to find her way. She does need to find her way.
I do think that what we saw with the painting was, and we all do this, and I laugh on this show too, when I might say something kind of heavy duty and laugh, right? It's a defense mechanism, sort of making light of it. And so I think that's Meri's way. I think she makes light of a lot of things that are very painful and which a lot of us do. And it was interesting to watch her kind of making these jokes. And Blair very seriously at some point said, that must have been really hard. Like, I got the sense that Jen and Blair were sort of like, hey, we're here for you. Like, let's talk real. And I wonder how much Meri really does talk real about things. And is this sort of the way? And is this what Kody's been complaining about? Because definitely Kody he's not saying it, but there's something about the way in which he and Meri communicated and fought that he felt like was not fair. He's like, I don't know if this is passive aggressive, or if it's this, or if it's that, just kind of never knowing where Meri's coming at. And I think it is possible sort of seeing Meri, it's very easy to kind of go, oh, Meri's over it. But obviously she's not. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I don't think she does a very good job of matching up her emotions to what's really going on. And maybe that's what Kody's been commenting about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a thought, just a theory.
Yeah, no, that does make sense because she, instead of just coming out and saying how she feels, makes a joke about it or, because that thing about her basically him helping her move is her severance.
Yes.
And she's joking about it. But then in the confessional, she very seriously says, I gave up any right to alimony in that divorce and whatever. And I want to add probably some property rights too.
Yes, you did.
And so she feels she's owed this. And she said that very seriously. But she would never say that seriously point blank to Kody.
Yes. And I think maybe that's part of the problem. And maybe this is what has been happening all these years. I mean, we'd have to, now that we know this, we could go back on the rewind and start noticing it. But maybe that's what's been happening this whole time. And now Kody's doing it.
Right.
And maybe Kody feels very justified in being able to say, well, I'm not even really married to Meri anymore. Like he feels very justified in saying these things because that's what she's doing. Again, doesn't, if one person is behaving poorly, doesn't mean that you then get to behave poorly. That's not how it works.
Right.
But I could see him feeling that way. I don't know. I was going to say something and I just lost my train of thought. Okay, let's dig into this because we start off in Salt Lake City at Mykelti and Tony's, and Christine and David are coming over to babysit the babies. And
yes, they're going on a date.
Yes.
Tony.
Yes. And boy, David got a little shady there. He's like, oh, they cleaned up. Their house must be a goddamn mess. If these two were like, oh God, thank God they cleaned up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame them. They have 3 little kids. I find it hard to, I don't know how they function, but
yeah.
But then we go through Christine's time frame. She's like, well, we started talking 5 months ago. We went on our first date 3 months ago. We started talking about living together 2 months ago. 5 weeks ago, we started talking about getting married. And, we're just moving along and I'm fine with this. And this is good. Blah, 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 blah. Okay,
well,
Christine.
I heard,
we're back to the timeline again and it never matches. It never matches.
I heard someone on TikTok or something talking about this timeline thing. And they think that the reason why she's saying this, oh, well, we first talked 5 months ago, and she's trying to make it seem like they have known each other for a long time, but didn't start seeing each other in person until a couple months ago. Because people were saying, why in the world would Mykelti leave her kids with some guy that her mom only knew for a few weeks and is basically a total stranger to her? And they said because she has known him a lot longer. He has been around a lot longer. But Christine didn't want to make it seem like she just jumped from leaving Kody to meeting David. She's trying to give the impression that she dated around for a while.
Oh, more than maybe she did.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a theory.
Well, again, it's... I don't know what to say because
I don't know. Who cares?
Perplexing because of how quickly everything's moved. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're so worried about what we think, then lie about all of it or drag it all out. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Christine, we saw you. We saw you without love.
No one blames you, Christine.
Yeah.
We get it. We understand. Just own it. Be like, you know what? I got incredibly lucky. The first guy that I met, or one of the first guys that I met, was this wonderful guy who was perfect for me, and we're very happy. Yeah. It can happen.
Yes, it does. And it does happen. And again, I think she was starved. Like really, truly anyone with a sandwich. Yeah. Anyone decent with a sandwich would have been fine.
She was already over Kody. It's not like she needed any time to grieve or, any time to take him. She had taken years. She was over him for years. So she was ready to just hit the ground running. So fine, Christine.
All right. And then, so this is the scene that we were talking about earlier. We're at Meri's B&B. And it's like, God, this must be rough to be one of Meri's friends. Because every goddamn time she calls you, there's a project. Some new project. Blair just finished the carriage house. He doesn't even get a weekend to himself. And already we're painting.
Well, what is this room they're painting? It looked like a little attic room, or it's this up some stairs. And what is it? I think they just needed something for them to do while they were talking, and so they put them in this closet room or something, whatever, a storage room or something, and they just started painting. They clearly didn't care about the quality of their paint job. They're just sort of slapping paint up haphazardly,
Well, I'm sorry, but Meri. This is Meri who needed a 17-bedroom home for her and her one child that was leaving for college. Do you really think she's going to settle to be in this little teeny tiny room up in the attic that can barely fit like a single bed?
No, I don't know.
Meri's not moving up there.
No, I don't know what this room is even supposed to be. Maybe I missed it. But anyway, it's just a setup for them to be in a small space and talk, I guess.
But yeah, God, I mean, this is really, sad. Like Meri talks about the past decade living as a single person. No, all this woman wants is someone to make sure that she arrived to her destination safely. That's all she wants. She just wants someone to know that she made it to Tucson, and she just wants someone to pick her, maybe even better, pick her up at the airport. You don't even need to be, you could actually be in your car on the, you could actually not even have to leave your car. She would appreciate that.
Everybody needs someone who they can text and say, I just landed, or I'm just taking off, got home, I'm home safe. Yeah, and apparently she's had nobody. That was really sad.
It is. So Kody really just stopped. Kind of just stopped. Like wondering, caring.
Well, what about everybody else? I mean, what about her child? What about her friends. I don't know.
Well, and that's the other thing, right? We always talk about how Meri always needs lots of friends, and she seems to have the most friends outside of it. But I don't know. I mean, you could say maybe this is how Meri got to this point, that none of your sister wives or no one is checking on you or your kid. Or is it sort of like everyone maybe assumed that someone else was doing it? I don't know.
It was sad though.
Oh, and God.
Maybe this comes... Okay, do they come back to this painting scene? Because I feel like there was more to it.
Yes, there is.
Okay. I guess, they're going back and forth. So the next scene is... I don't know how they got on this topic, but, they did this flashback to when they had the 5 oldest kids. They're all in diapers. Oh, Christine was talking about...
About taking care of little kids.
Yeah. About how, it was run like a preschool, and, they had this regimented schedule, and then Gabe and Gwen were born 4 days apart. So they called them the twins. And then Meri says she wasn't really sure how to ask for time off to help Christine and Janelle. And it kind of sounds like she never did, because then Christine said, well, I just became the caregiver for 7 kids. I think Janelle took a couple weeks off. Then she was back to work. I don't think Meri took any time off.
Yeah, because I could also believe that at that time, Janelle, I mean, being able to stay home with your child for 4 to 6 months is a new thing. Like
even now, it's not. It's only for people with very, privileged jobs.
Yeah. But so I think a lot of times people think people have all this time off from work, and they really don't. So I'm sure Janelle had to go back financially. I'm sure everyone had to keep working financially.
Yeah.
But I don't know. God bless Christine. If this was my life, I would be pulling my hair out. None of that looks fun or entertaining. I love my child. I do, but I don't want to spend all my days changing diapers. But it sounds like Christine loved it. It sounds like this was really who she, good for her. I give you a lot of credit. I'm Janelle. I want to go back to work.
I don't know if she loved it, but I think she just embraced it. She had a good attitude about it. She clearly was able to handle it, and she just did it. I mean, I'm sure at the end of every day she was beyond threadbare.
Yeah, I'm sure she was.
She just did what she had to do. That's why everyone appreciates her. Everyone except,
Kody.
Who.
And then we see this so Christine and David bought a new house, a new build. Now, is this house in Lehigh? I'm so confused. And I thought Lehigh, how far is Lehigh? I thought I saw a scene of her and Ysabel, and I thought the Chiron said Lehigh when they went to go see the new house.
Oh, I thought it was just like Salt Lake, like a suburb of Salt Lake. I mean, Lehigh is, I believe, a suburb.
I think this new build is in Lehigh. This is my theory, but I could be wrong. And I really want to know how much that house is.
Well, I'm sure someone somewhere put it.
Yes, one of these Sister Wives shows, someone's figured it out.
If anybody knows the details, let us know.
Yeah, David's already picking out hot tubs.
Yeah, he's going to do the backyard. And this is where Christine says, and we know Kody never finishes a project. He barely ever starts a project. And, Christine said Kody would always talk about what he was going to do, and he never did it. Never fixed up her backyard. And David walks the walk.
Yeah, he does.
He says he's going to do something, and he does it. He knows how to build things and make things happen.
So if he says there's a hot tub, there is a hot tub.
Yes.
A hot tub is coming.
Yes.
But these two, they're babysitting and they can barely keep their hands off each other. Their legs are intertwined. I'm like, geez, not in front of Avalon. God, people, can you calm it down? Wait for the parents to come home.
They're in love. So
I know.
They're in love.
I know. All right. So now we're back to
painting.
What? Oh, we're back to the painting.
Back to Parowan.
Yes. And so this was weird. So Jen asks Meri about her furniture. Why is Meri's furniture so important to everybody? And she's like, oh, she's asking about getting rid of the furniture and how Kody feels about it. And Meri's like, well, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he thinks. We're divorced. What does it matter? And then she finally says he has wanted this to be done for so long. It's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, and then Meri says that she's not ready to date yet. She's only been single for 1 month. And then Jen just looks at her and says, or 10 years.
That's exactly what I was thinking in my head.
Yeah, 1 month. And last week at the engagement party, Christine was trying to tell Meri, oh, it's better on the other side. It's so much better. And Meri's like, well, yeah, I don't know. It's still fresh. I'm not there yet.
Mm-hmm. See, that makes me think that these things were filmed out of order. I'm wondering if this painting scene was filmed before all of that other stuff.
It could have been, but I don't care if it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 3 years. He broke up with you 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You just wouldn't leave.
Well, yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing, right? How much of this is because Meri she spells it out. She spells exactly what everyone's been saying this whole time, which is he has been pushing you and pushing you and pushing you away, hoping that you will say goodbye so that he's like, see, I tried and she left me and I'm not the bad guy. And it's almost a little bit like she decided, okay, I'm going to play chicken with him. Let me see what I can do. Let me see how long I can hold on. And there is a point at which I don't know, Meri. I mean, should you take some level of accountability for the fact that you did? I don't know. I am not saying that is what is true. I am just trying to wrap my brain around this thought process of, it sounds like you have suspected, you've been feeling this for a long time. And I understand you were told something else, but at the same time, the actions weren't matching the words. So at what point is that on you?
Yeah, well, that's the $1 million question, because she does say that when they moved to Flagstaff, he promised her this new start, and that they went out on their anniversary and they cheers to a new beginning, and then he would stay away from her, and it was confusing to her. But still, that was 4 or 5 years ago. At this point, I'm not quite sure how long ago, but yeah. Look, if he's got this string of broken promises, at what point is it on you to be like, okay, I'm not going to fall for this again. He's not really going to do it.
Yeah. But Kody pulled the ultimate fuckboy move, which is, I want you to go to Flagstaff. So I'm going to, tell you this whole thing. Let's go to the Grand Canyon, love bombing. Let's go to the Grand Canyon. Let's champagne. Let's toast this new beginning. And then he ghosts her. And then, he pulls every last like crappy boy thing, like breadcrumbing her and kind of keeping her on the line and keeping her around. And then the other thing too was that he thought that there was this list of things apparently that Meri was supposed to be doing and working on that Kody wanted her to work on. They talk about this later.
Well, first he says that he tried to work things out with her. He was over the catfishing thing, but that they were just like an estranged couple for 8 years. They didn't sleep in the same bed. Kody told her 2 years later that he was done. And Blair says, yeah, that's called leading you on. And then I think she talks about the list. Kody gave her a list.
Yes, a list.
She completed the list, but he was still, not satisfied. And then that she realized. So it sounds to me like over these years, Kody was doing a lot of manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
To get her to stay because he wanted her to keep contributing to the family.
So that was my question. What was on this list? I would pay so much money to see that list. Because do you think it was things like learn to communicate better, to put $100,000 into a money market account under my name, 3, right? Like clean this, move my stuff over here, 4, right? Become the top of an MLM, and feed the money through. I don't know. I mean, what do you think was on this list of things that she was supposed to be doing?
Just probably a bunch of random things just to keep her busy and keep her out of his hair.
But it was like emotional things, or do you think it was more, why don't you more like tasks?
Yeah. So the list is probably it's probably very, things that are impossible to quantify or impossible to complete. But anyway, then we go back to Christine and David's new house, and it is in Lehi. I wrote down here Lehi. So, and Christine comments that it's just 3 months after their first date, and they're moving in. 3 months, 8 months, we don't really know. Not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Ysabel is there, and
this Ysabel stuff that's rough too. That's really rough to see. And I get where she's coming from.
Yeah. So Christine says she's never lived with a man full time before and slept with him every night. She said Kody only came over every 3 to 4 days at night and would leave the next morning.
And we saw that. We saw that at the 4 lives of Kody, the 4 lives of Kody Brown. We saw that he showed up after dark.
Yeah. And
ate dinner and slept there.
Janelle said the same thing. He showed up very late, left first thing in the morning. Go back to Robyn's house. So they didn't really see him that much. And, okay, God, this episode just flips.
It's all over the place because we go over
now we go to Kody's, right?
Yeah, because first we see the beginning scenes of Christine and Ysabel, of her showing her the house. And then we go back to them talking about, right? And then we go to Janelle commenting on Christine. And then we go back to Meri, because Meri has to go over there and tell Robyn and Kody that she's actually going to move now. So there's still snow on the ground. So is this like maybe March? February, March. And I guess they assumed that she would move in the summer. That's when her lease is up, but she's going to tell them now. And it was so interesting. So I was like, do you think this was her or the producers? This had to be the producers. Had to say to her, you got to go over there and tell them because we need content.
Yeah. Probably. Well, and she needed to ask Kody if he would help her, move and drive the truck. Psych Legal Pop will be right back after these messages.
And here's my other question with that too. Why are these people still moving each other? You guys are in your 50s.
Yes.
And if I had 5 cents in my bank account, I would try to figure out how to get someone to move for me. I am shocked that these people are still moving. You have 2 huge homes, Meri. You have all this money. You can't pay. I would be so pissed if I was Meri. The last thing I would want to do is to have to ask this guy to help me move.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
why would you want him around you all day? Even Christine didn't want his help. She wanted his help moving one thing into the trailer. And then he started to try to overreach. And she's like, nope, that's it. That's all I want.
And I think it was one thing that was probably like impossible, like hard to move and hard to find someone to do. And to move one piece of equipment is a little hard. That's very different than finding someone to actually physically move you.
If you're that age, you do not move yourself. You pay movers, and it is not worth the emotional burden to have to be with Kody all day and have him boss everyone around and be in charge of your stuff and be in charge of your move. It's like, no, Meri, you are your own person now. You do not ask your ex to help you move.
And so this is the thing. I think that Meri, this is a little bit of Meri's stuff, right? Which is, I think Meri likes hanging out with Kody and likes antagonizing him, likes kind of poking at him. And I think she likes this place that she's in right now with him. And I think this has been a big chunk of their relationship. I do. I think they've always had this kind of relationship. But it's kind of sad. Do you know what I mean? It's like the guy breaks up with the girl and the girl still hangs out with the friends and like still goes to the parties. And you're kind of like, oh, girl, stop hanging out at this bar that he's the bartender. You know what I mean? You're like, you got to move on.
I also thought it was interesting that after all of Robyn's theatrics, Meri moving, when Meri comes over to their house, she seems kind of nonplussed about it. She's like, oh, I thought you were going to move in the summer, in June or July. And very matter-of-factly, Meri's like, no, I just want to get it done now. And Robyn's sort of like, oh, okay.
Well, and then... But Meri is not, this is where I'm really glad. Meri is not holding this other thing back where she talks about like, I'm going to miss the kids, but hey, I barely see them.
Yeah. She said that, that it's like pulling teeth to get to see those kids. She's always texting Robyn, let's get together. No response.
And so what I wonder is I wonder if Robyn goes to Kody and is like, Meri wants to come over to the house. Should we have her over? And then he says no. And that's why it never happens. But if you were so dedicated to your sister wives, Robyn, I would think that you could pretty easily just text Meri and say, hey, I'm going to grab the 2 youngest kids and let's go meet for something. Let's go to the movies. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah, no, Robyn really doesn't care. She doesn't really care if her kids see Meri or not. She pretends like her kids are just so attached to her, and they're really not. No. They weren't fazed by this. Like,
Ariella was like, "Now, who are you again? You're moving. Where are you moving to?
Where are you going?
Oh, okay. And who are you? Which wife are you?"
Yeah, no, the kids weren't crying and upset. They were just sort of like, "Oh, okay."
Boy, that Saul is so... If I didn't know better, I would think he's malnourished. Do you know what I mean? He's so...
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes if there's something... Yeah.
Does he have a vitamin deficiency?
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm wondering. Because they never get to go out of the house, apparently, ever. We've never seen them outside.
No sun, except to shovel snow for 5 minutes.
Until Ariella scratches her father's car.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, back in the house. And all during COVID, they couldn't leave the house.
They couldn't. That's probably how it started with poor Solomon. Probably still falling apart here. But oh my God. But this is the other thing that made me laugh is, do you think, she says to Meri, Robyn says to Meri, well, are we going to talk about the M word? Should the kids go? Like, they're worried about Ariella and Solomon hearing about moving. Is that really that big of a deal? How old are these children? Because I mean, again, this is a generational thing. I just have to laugh because it's like, our parents got divorced, remarried, all this kind of stuff. No one was wondering if they should be talking to us about moving. Like there was no trigger warnings for us. There was no thought process if we should hear something or not.
There was even no consideration for our feelings, period.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was just like, so in my mind, I thought, God, really? Like, you can't mention moving in front of these kids? So I was trying to check in with myself and being like, am I being too judgy here about this? Like, is this based on my own experiences that I think she's overprotecting these kids? But yeah, I mean, why can't they hear about the moving?
No.
And then they do eventually hear about the moving.
Right. 2 minutes later. So who cares?
Yeah, it was so, I just thought that was so weird. But this was the best. This was the best. So she says, well, I'm going to move in a couple, she tells the kids, I'm going to move she tells Kody and Robyn, sorry, she's going to move in a couple weeks. Kody says, why so early? That was the line of the episode. Why so early? And Meri, of course, is like, you got to be kidding me here, because you've been pushing me away this whole time. And then for a decade. And then we hear from Kody, and Kody says, my first reaction is good. This will be good for her. But I don't tell Meri what's in my heart. It's not safe. And Kody made another comment about this as well, he said this before about Meri, about not, this is it. When Kody earlier on says it's good for Meri to move, but I don't tell her how I feel. And I'm like, do you think maybe this is part of the problem, Kody? Like,
well, how does he feel? What is he holding back? Didn't he already tell us? I wish I'd never married her. I can't stand her. He's already told us. What is he holding back that's so unsafe? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. So you feel like you can't, your complaint, I think I wrote this down because I was getting all worked up over all of this. But you tell her that you don't feel like you can say certain things to her because you don't feel safe. But anyway, I can't go down. I'm sorry. I'm just so frustrated. I can't try to understand Kody anymore. Let's move on.
We can't. We can. Let's move on.
And then this is when she asks about helping him load some things and driving a truck up to Utah.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, sure. So, okay, Kody, what's the problem? Like, I think you're trying to make a problem where one doesn't exist. Kody wants to. He wants to go and show off, his manly moving skills. What else does he have to do?
Well, you know what? Because he knows Meri is wanting him. I think he also likes the fact that I think he knows Meri wants him. And I do believe they had I think they did have a lot of sexual chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I think he knows she wants him. And I think, he's been with Robyn a bit of time now. I think he's kind of like, I'm going to make her jealous. And look at me. I'm going to get my special visor,
my gloves
and my visor. And I'm going to, do my hair so. And
going to go to work.
She's going to want me.
Oh, yes. Boy. Can't wait to see that. Yeah, and this is where she says, she deserves this severance package because she failed to ask for alimony in the divorce, and she's put 30 years into this. So help me move, and we'll be even, I guess.
Yeah, okay. And this is where he says he doesn't know if this is passive aggressive, but he has never known their entire marriage. And so this is my point from earlier, which is a little bit of like, but Kody, that's not entirely on Meri. Do you know what I mean? If you're saying that you have no idea what her intention of what she's been saying, and you don't know where this is coming from your entire marriage, at some point you have to take some ownership of the fact that you never asked, you never tried to figure out, you never tried to understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so over this.
Anyway, Meri wants to be in control of limbo land. And then this is where Robyn goes in, where she understands how Meri feels. And you're like,
how does she understand how Meri feels?
I don't know. But and then Meri really, really digs in. She said he didn't have the courage or integrity to be honest with her. I was like, okay, good. Finally. Yes, Meri, this is worthying up, Meri. This is it.
Put this in your pamphlet or on your website for worthy up. Okay. But then Kody blames it on Robyn. It says that it's Robyn who made him drag this out. He was doing it for her. And it's like, God, everyone is just, you people all need to just go your separate ways. This is so toxic. Yeah. So toxic.
Yeah. Because the thing is that, again, Robyn was holding on because she had this fantasy. And how could she be the favorite wife if there are no other wives? Mm-hmm. And Meri was bringing in money. There are all of these layered reasons why people do what they do. And then they come on the show and they pretend like they're not doing all of these things. And somehow we should all be so dumb that we can't see the layers.
There's so much dishonesty on this show.
Yes, thank you. Dishonesty.
Yeah, there really is. And it started out as a farce. Look at our happy family. And it's just been it's taken 12 years, 13 years just to start to chip away at some of this and actually have some people start opening up, like Janelle and Christine and now Meri finally. Kody and Robyn are still hanging on to whatever, but even still, there's so much buried under there. Just layers and layers that we don't even know about.
And they always talk about polygamy and how they have had to lie because, that we're persecuted and we're this and we're that. And so we can never live our truth. And I do think there is a layer of this where I think these people are very used to lying to people about what is, what's really going on and what's not going on. And I also have to say that there is, you have to ask yourself, like, do you want to be part of a religion where I guess, okay, you're teaching your kids and yourself how to lie all the time? Is that really freedom? Is that really religious freedom to pursue what you want to pursue?
And also it's not just lying. It's also what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. It's also like they don't even, they're so out of touch with their feelings. They can't even be honest with each other, in their own personal dynamics, and just such a lack of communication. Like this stuff with the finances, like everyone thinking Janelle's in charge of the finances and she's not. Everyone thinking this about Meri and it's not true. Everyone thinking this about Christine and it's not true. You know what I mean? It's just nobody knows each other. They had all this therapy with Nancy and all this, this team building stuff. None of it worked. None of it even cracked the surface. They don't know each other. They don't communicate with each other. Meri and Janelle are still so upset with each other from something that happened 30 some odd years ago, which we still don't fully understand. I think it was more than just, how we're going to arrange the kitchen.
Yeah.
Which is what they say. And, just the level of anger that goes back so many decades and they can't even talk about it.
Yeah, no, you're right. For people that had therapists on call for decades, which is such a luxury, they really are not in touch with anything. And I think if anyone looks at their life, right, the relationship that you had with your parents when you were young versus the relationship that you have now, you see all the growth, you see the maturity, you see your maturity, you see your parents' maturity, you see all of that. And I think this is maybe a bit of what the kids are feeling, because I think the kids are trying to get to that place in their lives. They want to have a more honest relationship with Kody. They really do. Because the thing is that they are not going to sit around and pretend like they think Robyn's the greatest thing ever. That they're basically like, listen, we don't like the way she treated us, or we're not happy with this, or whatever the issue is. But it's like, that can't be. It just for someone to have a different perception, it's almost kind of like, well, you can dislike someone and also say they're in my family and I'm going to make the best of it.
Yeah.
God, these people, they don't get nuances, all of it. Ugh.
No.
But I think this is, and poor Ysabel is, she's just having such a hard time because we're back in Lehigh and they're moving into this new house, and we get all these interviews of Janelle talking about how Christine is so comfortable in her own skin, and she's still Christine, but she's more fun loving. And Ysabel is she's worried about having a close relationship with David, because I think she knows her dad. And I think she fears that if I'm close with David, this is going to upset Kody, and I will never be able to have a close relationship with my father.
Well, she also says she feels like her relationship with her dad is slowly going away. And that has nothing to do with David.
Yeah.
That has to do 100% with Kody. And so she's coming to the realization that, it's been several years now. It started several years ago, and then it really culminated in the back surgery. And now several years have gone by, and Kody is still not being a good dad.
Yeah.
She's just coming to that realization that, oh my God, this might be what it's like forever. And I might have to be the one who always reaches out and who always goes to him, does what he wants, plays by his rules, and probably realizes that's just not possible. It's impossible to please Kody, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It was that, and also knowing her father and knowing like, because Ysabel likes David, and it sounds like she does want to have a good relationship with David. Why wouldn't you? And I think she also knows, like, if I'm close with David, then that means my father's going to be mad. And then again, another thing that Ysabel says is she sees how present David is in his children's lives and how amazing that would be.
She's seeing a real, present, involved, loving father. And she's going, oh my God, I didn't have this. I don't have this.
And I think that the fact that Kody's always had a lot of children has always been their excuse. I think a lot of times of like, well, your dad's spread so thin. And I think that I think a lot of them are seeing David going, you know what, this guy was spread really thin.
And it was just him.
And him alone. And he was working, because he's been working this whole time. Like Kody's been able to have the luxury of, being on the show. But that, this guy, maybe he doesn't have as many children as Kody, but like he was just as busy as Kody. And here he is, and he has the ability to show up for all his kids.
Yeah. And Ysabel is also seeing that, her sister Maddie is estranged from him. I don't know who else is estranged from him. Gabe.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what the status is with like Hunter.
I think Logan, Garrison. Maybe we do see Garrison in this.
Yeah.
It was the first time we saw him in a bit.
Yeah. So she's seeing it. She's seeing it playing out. She's like, well, he's lost relationships with these other, it's sort of like the writings on the wall.
Yeah. And Ysabel's what? 21 at this point. So
she's the same age as Layla. So at this point in the thing, she might be like 20-ish.
Yeah. So, and that's, and that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
It's just, it really breaks my heart.
It's a lot.
I feel like Christine did a good, I think Christine handled this as well as she could. I think she very much was like, he's not here to replace your father. He's here for someone if you need to, if
he'll
you
be
need
whatever you want him to be.
Yeah. If you need him to, show up for you in these ways, he will. If you don't, you don't. He's good to go. And I think that, and I think that's also heartbreaking too, to realize like, oh, wow, this guy doesn't have an ego at all about any of this. Like he really would. He would not. That David would be okay if we were the best of friends or if we weren't, that he was going to be okay with me no matter what. And just knowing that that's not how it is with Kody. So, it's hard. It's really hard.
It is hard.
So now we're back at Kody and Robyn.
Well, I think we already went through this.
Debating if Meri should talk to the kids.
Yeah, we already talked about this, basically. She's, Robyn's delaying. She's saying she doesn't want to see them sad. Well, guess what? They're not sad. They're fine.
Yeah. Well, then does Kody then say, he says, this makes me sad because, like, when will his kids see Meri again? I'm like, now you care?
Right.
Now you fucking care?
Now you're, what exactly. Kody, I guess if you really want them to see her, you can drive your ass over to Parowan and go visit her.
Yeah, well, she's been living right there this whole time.
You didn't care if they saw her, all these years that she lived down the road. So,
and then we see she stands up, and so like I didn't watch the Robyn hug, but I watched the Kody hug. The Kody hug was like he barely touches her, and then he pats her on the back, and then kind of like moves away. Oh, God.
Well, because Robyn is there. Because we see a scene from next week when he takes her up to Parowan. He's saying goodbye, and he's embracing her, holding on to her and crying. God, Kody. Like, what the... I'm exhausted.
Do you think Kody was like, let's do it one more time, Meri,
one more time.
For all time's sake.
Robyn's not here. She can't walk in on us.
Do you feel that, Meri? I love you. And then poor Meri is like stuck in this for another 10 years.
Right. She rides the hope of that for the next 10 years. Like, maybe that'll happen again. Maybe he'll come back up here.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. And then Robyn
Lordy.
pipes in with, this seems kind of random, where she says she felt that some sister wives didn't have her back and there was a campaign against her. When, not the way it was supposed to go.
Yeah, I know. She's just lecturing us about polygamy and I'm not happy about this and I'm not happy about Lord. She's still wandering around wondering what happened with the family.
Yeah.
What happened with the family? Oh,
she feels like the idiot who was left behind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've established that. You are an idiot.
Yeah, that's what everyone thinks about you.
Yeah, for staying with this guy. He's going to do this to you. The writing's on the wall at some point. Like,
you don't think he could just, because, men start to mellow as they age. Do you feel like maybe he might just mellow out and kind of be like, okay, well, because I don't think he wants to do plural marriage anymore.
No. And he said he's not even part of that church anymore. So I don't think he wants another wife, but I think he's just going to get increasingly grumpier and grumpier and less enjoyable to live with. Mm-hmm. Because what is he going to do with himself? And he's losing children, losing relationships with children. Mm-hmm. He's this show's not going to last forever. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like he's just going to become insufferable, even more insufferable than he already is.
Yeah, and I think that Robyn, while she may say these things to the camera, I get the vibe that she is this very subservient wife to him and very much feeds his ego and all of that. I think that's why he loves her so much. Yeah. I really do. No, I think it's because she just feeds it. And I think now he's like, well, good. I'm getting my ego stroked and I can be a raging asshole all the time. Here I go.
Look out, world.
Yeah, it's Kody Brown.
It's Kody Brown's world now. You're all just living in it. All right, let's end on a happy note.
We end on a high. Christine finally has her moment in the sun.
Yes. One of many. So they're in the Razor. That's what those things are called.
Okay, I just want to say something right here and right now. I never want to go on one of those up and down the hills of Moab because she was saying there's no protection. There's no... It was like that tram that we were in San Diego that was hauling it over the bridge. That little tour we went on.
Over the Coronado Bridge.
Yeah, there's no seat belts. The Coronado Bridge. There's no seat belts. That's all exposed. I'm like, I'm just going to look out at and hope I don't die.
Hope I don't fly out of this thing and into the water, please.
But that's what that scene was. And Truly was in the back.
Yeah. I hope they have seatbelts in there.
She said they did get strapped in. So they must have to be strapped in. But you could still flip that thing.
Still flip it,
and now I guess it's safer if you're strapped in there. But they don't have helmets on. Yeah. I was like, you didn't even make Truly wear a helmet? Her brain is still growing.
Yeah.
I was just like, this does not look fun at all to me. I was like, I would just be like, I'll see you at the hotel.
Well, they have to go to this overlook, this beautiful spot. It's the only way you can get there. So, they go out to take a picture, under the guise of taking a picture over this beautiful overlook. And David says, "This is my favorite place in all the world, and you're my favorite person to be with." And he gets down on one knee.
Well, at first, I think she was confused because he said, I know I made a promise to marry you. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know. She's just kind of like, I know, it's part of our plans. I'm good. And she's kind of like, where's the picture? And it wasn't until he dropped down that she threw her stuff down. She was like, wait, it's happening? It's now?
Yeah.
And she said yes, of course.
And she was not expecting it because this is the day after they moved in. So she thought, well, he's not going to propose to me today. That's too much stuff in one weekend.
Yeah. But I guess he obviously had been planning this, and obviously he had told his friend because the friend was like, oh, let me take a picture of you, quote unquote. So, listen, I'm really, really happy for her. She's loved. And is this what she says at the end? She's loved. She's the only one that he loves. No question. She's never loved Kody like this. Now, see, Kody, now you know how it feels.
Well, that's going to rile him up. Yeah. She says that she didn't this is a whole new level of being loved. She didn't have it before, and now she's loved so deeply. David loves me, and he only loves me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you, Christine. I'm jealous. Where's my David?
Oh, he's out there. He is out there. You just have to go on that, whatever that dating site was.
Yeah, I got to find out what site she was on.
Now, and I also feel like David must have some money, right? I mean, Drywall has been very good to him because that's a nice home. And like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick out a hot tub. And I couldn't personally, if I could not pick out a hot tub tomorrow and have like 10 grand cash to plop down and keep going. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I got too many other things to pay for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, his kids are mostly grown. So, kids are expensive, but, they're mostly all grown and self-sufficient. And then he has his own business. And
that's what I'm saying. I think the drywall business has been good for him.
Well, yeah, all that construction out there, you see all those new houses. So I think building houses.
Well, I think, and that's why I think that he's a very successful businessman. I think he's a better businessman than Kody.
Oh, well, yeah.
For sure.
A squirrel would do better in business than Kody.
So obviously, I'm just saying that this man managed to raise 8 kids and still have all this money left over, and obviously runs a very successful business and does not seem to be hurting for money at all. So I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too.
Good
job, Christine.
Yes. So, and I think he's a cutie, David. Anywho, congrats, Christine. You're living your best life. We're very, very happy for you. Meri, you're on your way. And, Janelle's already got her Tata farm. So she's on her way too.
Yes. Everybody's moved on.
Onwards and upwards. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So next week, they show Kody, he says to Meri she's his favorite divorced wife while they're moving.
Yeah, because she's flattering him and is nice to him. That's why he likes her right now. Because Christine is in love with someone else. And Janelle won't take me. And Janelle wants me to pay off the property.
Yeah. Yeah, Janelle's over here hassling me about the property. Christine betrayed me.
I mean, Janelle wants to know how she's going to pay her rent. And Christine, blah, 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 blah. But here's Meri, financially independent.
Yeah. So, but then, like I said, they show them hugging and sobbing over, Meri leaving. So I don't know what's going on. I'm very confused. But then Christine and David tell their kids that they're engaged, and everyone's happy.
Yes. You did hear at one point, she did admit that apparently, I guess, Tony and Mykelti have been giving her a hard time, and she's finally kind of admitting, like, I did this to Mykelti and Tony. Like because they didn't like how rushed they were.
Well, they were also like 19 and she's 52 or something.
Yes. Yeah. It's not the exact same thing, but it just kind of makes me laugh a little bit. And I have to, again, I think it's when people are able to take ownership of the mistakes that they made and said, you know what, you're right. I thought this and now I think this. I just think that is right. That is growth. That is healing. Right. That is moving forward in life. Taking accountability, owning it, and moving forward.
And also people have pointed out that, Mykelti and Maddie are like the same age. You know what I mean? They're like born within the same year. Okay. So Maddie gets married.
Yeah.
Because it's to Caleb, who everybody loves. Everyone's just over the moon.
Oh, yeah. That was the best time of Kody's life. Remember?
Yes. Best time of his life.
When he was with Caleb.
Yes.
On their fishing trips.
And then a few months later, Mykelti wants to get engaged to Tony. And they're like, whoa. Wait a minute. And you're not mature enough. They always treated Mykelti like she was, just an idiot. And they always refer to her as, I was just watching an episode the other day where, when they first meet Tony's parents, and they're telling Tony's parents how Mykelti has always been, like their bad child or something. Like
the one they worry about the most. Yeah.
That she's always been, a problem. And it's like, because hearing that your whole life, like, you're the problem child.
And she's in quote unquote a problem because she's like a little bit of a theater nerdy kid. She likes to dye her hair, and she wore a shirt that actually is less revealing than the shirt I'm wearing right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's not fair. And that's why I kind of feel like, give this woman some credit. Like, own your stuff. Like you kind of put her in a corner, and that's not who she is. So anywho, well, here we are at the end. And if you are still here with us, thank you so much. If you would like to support our podcast, there's lots of ways of doing that. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review. Those always really do help us. Helps get the word out there. You could get the word out there and tell your friends and family about the show. And if you want to hear more from us, you can go over to Patreon, patreon.com/PsychLegalPop podcast. We do a weekly bonus. We do a true crime. We do an Ask Us Anything. We have 2 tiers. If you go over there, you'll see everything, and come check us out. And follow us on social media at PsychLegalPop on Instagram and TikTok. And
isn't it Psych Legal Pop podcast?
I thought it was Psych Legal Pop. Oh, God. Peggy.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything.
Ask Peggy about this.
If you just type in, we'll hear it.
No, it's Psych Legal Pop. I'm looking at Instagram right now. It's just Psych Legal Pop. You'll find us. We're the only Psych Legal Pop podcast out there.
Just type in Psych Legal and it'll come up.
Anywho. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.